Welcome to our state school levy tutorial, Understanding Ratios. In this video, we will begin to explain the process on how a statewide levy is assessed equally. When we look at our tax statement, we can see that a portion of property tax goes to local schools and the state general fund for state schools. As registered voters, we vote on the special and excess levies for our local schools, but how is the portion for state schools determined? In this video, we would like to help answer this. The formula to calculate property taxes owing is to take the assessed value multiplied by the levy rate divided by 1,000. Within this formula, there are two important figures, the assessed value and the levy rate. The assessor's office establishes the assessed value of properties annually. According to Washington state law, all taxable properties should be valued at 100% of its true and fair market value. A levy rate is the amount of property tax that needs to be collected per $1,000 of property value so that the taxing district's budgets can be met. A levy that is collected statewide, such as the state school levy, is handled a little differently than a local taxing district levy. Some aspects are the same. A total budget is established, and a total assessed value is calculated. The difference with a statewide levy is that there are multiple counties involved, and the total tax amount due for each county is different, depending on many factors. So let's say, for example, that the total budget for the state school levy is $2 billion. There are 39 counties in Washington state to collect from. How does the Department of Revenue determine each county's share of the state school levy equally? Let's explain. To ensure that each county is paying a fair and equal portion of the state school levy, the Department of Revenue conducts an extensive ratio study annually for all the 39 counties in Washington state. The ratio study measures the difference between the true and fair market value and the county assessed value. The goal is to be at 100% of market value. Let's look at an example of how a county ratio could be calculated. While there are many factors that go into the ratio study itself, the result is the total assessed value divided by the total market value equals the ratio or difference. And here we can see that the ratio is 89%. The individual ratios are then applied to each county assessor's real and personal property values, adjusting the assessments to true and fair market value prior to determining each county's share of the state school levy. What does this look like? Let's look at an example if the counties are not at 100% market value and the assessment is not equalized. Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones both own a 2,000 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath home on 1 acre of land. The market value for both these properties is $200,000. Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones live in different counties in Washington state. Mr. Smith owns property in Greene County, and Mr. Jones owns property in Blue County. Greene County has assessed Mr. Smith's property at $198,000. Blue County has assessed Mr. Jones's property at $160,000. So if both properties are identical and the market value is $200,000, it appears that Greene County is a lot closer to being at 100% of market value than Blue County. Why does this matter? If both properties' assessed values were at 100% of market value, let's see what the property tax amount would be. For this example, let's say that the state school levy rate is $2 per thousand of assessed value for the state school budget to be met. In this example, the amount needed to be collected from each taxpayer is $400. Now let's do the calculation when the assessed values are not at 100% of market value. We fill in the assessed values and the state school levy rate. In doing the calculation, we can see the amount for taxes due. From this example, Mr. Smith is paying a larger portion because the levy rate is not equalized, and the amounts to be collected from each taxpayer are not enough to help meet the state school budget amount. So how does the levy rate get equalized? Remember the ratio of assessed value to market value that the Department of Revenue calculated for each county? The formula used to equalize the levy rate is the levy rate divided by the ratio. Let's look at this example again with an equalized rate. We know the assessed values, we know the levy rate and ratio, and can see the equalized rate. And now, because the rate has been equalized, Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones are paying an equal amount for taxes. And the amount collected from each taxpayer now is enough to help meet the state school budget amount. The rate difference doesn't mean one owner is getting a break or that another owner is overcharged. It simply allows for equal application of the state school levy throughout the counties of Washington. This concludes the state school levy tutorial, Understanding Ratios. Thank you for joining us, and have a great day.